Welcome, everyone, to our third episode of Behind the Buzz. We recorded this episode in December, so it's got a little bit of a holiday vibe. Our special guest is longtime friend Jill Witecki, Vice President and Director of Marketing for Tampa Theater. Jill takes the lead in amplifying buzz around the theater's 600-plus annual showtimes and fostering civic connections. She curates partnerships that not only entertain, but also educate and enlighten our vibrant community. Jill kicked off her career as a wordsmith extraordinaire at the Tampa Tribune. From covering community events to spinning tales in the weekly humor lifestyle column, The Quarter Lifer, she left an indelible mark. She spent a solid 9 years mastering the art of public relations at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, expertly handling media relations and crisis communications for the famed theme park. Fast forward to October 2012, Jill stepped into the spotlight as a key player in the Tampa Theater executive team.
As an intern at Busch Gardens during that time, I'm still soaking up knowledge from Jill. This is a total full circle moment for me, and we are so excited for this episode.
Let's get buzzed. Welcome, everyone, to our third episode of Behind the Buzz. Today on our pod, our special guest is Jill Witecki. Thank you. Vice President of Marketing for the historic Tampa Theater. In fact, Jill and I have our own history. We worked together earlier in our career at Busch Gardens here in Tampa. In fact, Jill was the project manager for Hallow Scream back when I oversaw events for the parks.
But I think we see each other more now than we ever did back then.
I think you're right. We've come a long way since those days.
Yes, we have.
All right, so let's get started. Welcome to Behind the Buzz.
Thank you.
Are you ready to get buzzed?
I'm ready.
That's perfect. Perfect. All right, Jill. I mentioned that we previously worked together at a little theme park down the street, but when you moved on, you made your way to this beautiful historic landmark, Tampa Theater.
I did.
To set the stage. Haha. Can you share a little bit about the history and the significance of Tampa Theater and how it's become a cultural landmark in the community?
Absolutely. Well, so Tampa Theater has been right here in the heart of downtown Tampa since 1926. We have been showing movies on Franklin Street for more than 97 years. And when we started, we were a silent movie palace for the first couple of years of our existence.
Amazing.
And we were built in an era of time that it was actually studio money building these theaters. So we were built with Paramount money, and there were others that were built with MGM money or United Artists money. But the common denominator was that they were these beautiful show palaces because they were competition. The studios were trying to build or produce the biggest and best movies, but then they wanted to show them in the biggest, best, most elaborate movie palaces. So we opened in 1926, and we were one of several theaters in downtown Tampa, but we were the only movie palace. We were the only one that kind of elevated to that level of ornate grandeur.
Amazing. And it is ornate and grand and beautiful.
Jaw-dropping.
So Tampa Theater is well known for curating classics and soon-to-be classic movies and programming, especially during the holiday season. What goes into your selection of holiday classics?
Well, I'm ashamed to say that Holiday Classics is probably our easiest series to program all year. But we do have this reputation as being the old theater that shows old movies. So we do classic series throughout the year. And some of them, like our summer classics, that's 3 months of different movies. And we try to cover 100 years of filmmaking. Our family favorites are always those family titles, bringing the kid movies back to the big screen. With Holiday Classics, there's a little more of an element of tradition to it. People come year after year with their families to see their favorite movies. And so, honestly, the lineup doesn't really change. It's always Miracle on 34th Street the first weekend, and White Christmas is in there somewhere, and Elf is in there somewhere, and it's a wonderful
The classics.
Don't mess with perfection.
I love it. That's great. So in what ways do you integrate the interests of the local community into your programming, especially during the holidays? How important is community feedback in your decisions?
Well, once again, Holiday Classics proved to us the importance of community feedback. And I will say this was before my time, before I joined the theater 11 and a half years ago. Our CEO, John Bell, was programming the series, and we had been doing the same movies for several years. And at some point he decided, wouldn't it be great if we mixed it up a little bit?
No.
Let's do some other movies. There's so many great holiday movies out there. Let's pick some different ones. And almost immediately upon putting them on sale, he was inundated with phone calls that all kind of went along the theme of My family comes every year to see It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, no.
You have now ruined Christmas.
Oh my gosh, the pressure.
Oh, so rather than be known of the Scrooge of Franklin Street for the rest of his career, he actually went back and reconfigured the series, put some more of those movies in there, and then the phone calls stopped. So community feedback, very important, especially when they have told you, this is what we want to see, don't mess with it.
That's amazing. So since we're here to talk about marketing, what role does marketing play in shaping and influencing the theater's programming, especially during the holiday season?
Probably more so than it would ordinarily in an organization like ours. And that is because by virtue of kind of a really weird org chart, film programming falls under the marketing team.
Wow.
Because the person that we promoted to the film programming spot used to be, up until very recently, the other half of the marketing team. So he still is part of the marketing team. Our film program manager, James DeFord, who Rumble Buzz viewers have met before. So he is our film programming person. So marketing has a huge impact on film programming. But it's wonderful how small our team is. We're a very small team at Tampa Theater. Everybody is involved. Everybody, of course, is super passionate about movies. So when it comes to these series, there really is a lot of buy-in and input from everybody on the team of movies that are celebrating an anniversary or maybe somebody's favorite movie. Or, for example, this year we knew we wanted to put The Grinch in there somewhere. And when we were deciding what version of The Grinch, I was fortunate enough to be able to pick my own daughter's favorite version of The Grinch and have that be on the big screen. So it really is a team effort. But yes, by virtue of title, marketing has a lot to do with it.
Hey, but then you know what's going to be, great for an audience.
Well, and we're the ones who have to sell it. So they might as well be movies
That's
that we
right.
think we can draw an audience
That's
for.
perfect. That's perfect. Can you tell us more about the collaborative process and decision-making involved in marrying the marketing strategies with the selection of films and events to create a compelling and festive experience?
Sure. So when it comes to kind of the programming mix, so taking a step back from the holiday classics in general, but to all of the holiday programming and all of the programming in general, the key metric that we look at, both marketing and everybody else in the building, is butts and seats. How many people are walking in? How many people are sitting down? And so the collaborative process is really the relationship between things like the classics and those big tentpole blockbuster movies and everything else we do as an art house theater. So if we can get 1,100 people in the building for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which we did a couple of weekends ago, that's 2,200 eyeballs, give or take, assuming, that we can show everything else we're doing.
Right.
So we've got, we know you like comedy. We know you like slapstick. Well, let us tell you about these comedy shows that we have coming up that maybe you don't know the person, but now we can show you that the show is happening.
Right.
You've come for It's a Wonderful Life. There's some nostalgia there. It's kind of a quirky story. Let us tell you about Poor Things that's coming up. That was just nominated for 7 Golden Globe Awards and,
Right.
has some big name stars in it. So sometimes it's not a direct correlation, but it's just that sheer volume of people that we're getting into the building with the classics that then allow us to talk about some of the other programming.
And make those great connections between them.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. So as we move beyond things like Netflix and chill and the whole, millennial, we've got streaming. We don't, need to go to a movie house. How does Tampa Theater reach this key audience as well as a younger Gen Z?
Boo hiss. The notion that we don't need to come to a theater anymore. It wasn't lost on any of us at Tampa Theater that when the Merriam-Webster Dictionary came out with their word of the year for 2023, the word of the year as dictated, I guess, by the search algorithms or what people are looking. I don't know how they decide what the word of the year is, but the word of the year was authentic. And
It's a great word.
we cheered down the block at 7-Eleven Franklin because that is the word that we have always used to explain what happens when you come to Tampa Theater. You
So
have an
true.
authentic experience. You are walking into a building that was designed to show you a movie, that was designed to envelop you and overwhelm you from the moment you walk in. to take you through that process of walking in under the marquee and buying your popcorn and finding your seat and watching the curtains open. That is preparing you on a deep level to appreciate and enjoy a movie. And that is a very different experience than sitting down on your couch and then the dryer buzzes and then the phone rings and then your drink needs a refill and the mailman comes in and your kids come running through and the commercial comes up, although there's not as many commercials on streaming anymore. But it is an incredibly immersive experience when you come to a movie theater and you sit with 1,000 of your friends and community members and watch a movie. Mm. It is a mundane experience to sit on your couch and watch the very same movie. So
I love it.
That is something that we hammer on all the time, but it's something that we really are starting to see young people appreciate. And there's been articles in the trade publications talking about this new generation discovering the cinema, discovering the experience. And yeah, you laugh.
How is that possible?
Well, it's like our kids discovering 80s fashion. It's like, okay, whatever it took to get you here, that's fine. Yes, you're right. You just discovered cinema. Come on in. Let us show you a movie.
We'll take you. We'll welcome you with open arms, right?
And programming, of course, has a ton to do with it, too, because, you're not necessarily going to get Gen Z or college kids with some of the movies that we show. But our newest team member, Sydney, and I were just talking the other day about some of the upcoming shows. And she was telling me a great story that a friend of hers who is in his 20s texted her before he even knew she was working at Tampa Theater to ask about a show coming up called Stardew Valley, which I had never heard of, but apparently it's a video game. I'm looking at the younger people in the room and they're nodding.
Everyone's nodding.
And so it's a multimedia presentation that the game or images from the game are going to be up on the big screen, but a live orchestra is going to be playing the music for it.
That's incredible.
And of course, the ticket buyers for this thing are not 46-year-old women. They are 22-year-old kids who want to come see their favorite game brought to life.
What a way to reach out to that next generation. That's fantastic. So with the holiday classics being such a significant draw, what marketing strategies have you found most effective in promoting these events and attracting new audiences?
Well, for something like holiday classics, it is definitely not lost on us that all of these movies do run on TV 1,000 times between Halloween and Christmas. You can see It's a Wonderful Life on tons of streaming networks. So to just advertise that movie, we're playing Elf, come see it. Well, so are several other outlets.
Sure.
There was a re-release of Elf this year because it was a anniversary year. We're showing The Grinch. Well, great, so is everybody else. So we always look at it through the lens of more than a movie. What can we do that is more than a movie, that is going to increase that experience, that authentic experience? And then that's the marketing hook. So, for example, we always kick off the series with Miracle on 34th Street Thanksgiving weekend because, of course, that movie features the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Sure.
With Santa. And it just so happens that Tampa Theater knows Santa. And we know that that's his favorite movie.
Well, that's fantastic.
And so when we keep showing it on Thanksgiving weekend, he keeps showing up to see his favorite movie.
Celebrity sighting.
It's amazing. So we do photos with Santa in the lobby. They're free. You take home a souvenir photo, take them with your own camera, take them with our camera. But that's something that we can market. This year for The Grinch, we partnered with a local performer to do a storybook on stage.
Great.
Oh, she was great.
So great.
Half an hour before the movie, Samantha Claus, as she likes to go by this time of year, was up on the stage, invited all the kids up to sit up on the stage with her. And okay, sidebar, 7-8-year-old kid getting to stand on stage at Tampa Theater and look out over those seats. A core memory right there.
That is a core memory.
But getting to sit and hear that book, the original words of Dr. Seuss, and then see how it was translated up on the big screen. We're doing a diaper drive with the Junior League. So all of those little things, that's what we're marketing, is come see this special thing we're doing.
It's about the experience.
At your favorite movie. Exactly.
Totally
exactly
immersive.
Right.
I love it. I love it. So that also probably kind of answers, but I bet you have more to say about how that experience
I always
compares.
do. You've known me for a long time.
Well, and how that marketing and how those experiences compare to like the modern day movie, theater that you're.
Well, I've never marketed a modern day movie theater, but if I had to guess, the things that when you think about the ads that you see, whether they're TV ads or radio ads or newspaper for us old fogies that still remember those, the ads that you're seeing from the big cineplexes, from the big brands, you're either seeing like, here's our list of titles, or, here's our new membership discount. Here's our new, we got a restaurant in the lobby now. We got some video games. But there's nothing about that relationship between people and a Cineplex. No offense to the Cineplexes out there. There's no emotional connection to that building.
Right.
If there's a movie out there you want to see, you look and see when and where Barbie's playing, and you drive to whatever theater that is because that's the movie you want to see.
That's most convenient.
Exactly.
Right.
With Tampa Theater, the people of this community are passionate about the building. And there's a connection, a feeling, an opinion about the building. So sometimes, fortunately, they're willing to give us a little more leeway on maybe I don't know that title that you're showing, but I know Tampa Theater and I know the kinds of things you show, and I know I always enjoy my time there. So I am going to come see that movie, even though I've never heard of it, because I trust that this relationship that I have with Tampa Theater will not disappoint me.
Right.
So no pressure on us, of course, to make sure that the programming lives up to that.
You do have a good reputation for putting the right movies out there that people can kind of check out in time for the season.
Well, Oscar season is coming up, and we try to tell people, great example of this. So last year, we got Everything Everywhere All at Once as a first-run movie. And if you've seen that movie, you know it is bizarre.
It's weird.
It is so bizarre. And the reviews for it were great, but also like...
we don't really know what's going on here.
Yeah, you got to be in the mood for it. So we did not do terrific business with that movie, despite our best efforts to tell everybody, like, trust us, this is going to be big.
Right.
Did okay numbers with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the award season came and all the nominations came out, and it was nominated for
Huge.
everything. And we brought it back for a couple more screenings because we had an opportunity to blow the doors off.
Of course.
And we're thrilled, but at the same time, we're like, seriously.
Believe us the first time.
Right, exactly. If we're putting it on our screen, it's not because we couldn't find anything else. It's, there is a reason that we're showing this.
Right. That's awesome. Okay, so let's change gears just a little bit and talk about fundraising. So fundraising, vital for the sustainability of a nonprofit historic movie venue like Tampa Theater. How does the marketing team actively contribute to the success of fundraising?
Sure. Well, if we didn't mention it before, that is an important point. Tampa Theater is a nonprofit organization. In fact, most existing movie palaces that still kind of remain true to that program are, because the idea of one screen and 1,200 seats for a movie theater is a failing business model, and it has been since the 40s. So economically, that doesn't make sense. So the support of our community is vital, not only for all the reasons we've already talked about, but financially. It is financially necessary for us to be a nonprofit. Although, as our CEO likes to say, nonprofit is a tax status, not a financial goal.
That's right. That's right.
We are not looking to not make money. We try very hard to make money. It just means that we cannot possibly earn as much money through ticket sales and popcorn and goobers as it would take to maintain that amazing, majestic, historic building. But fundraising, good fundraising, I have learned over the years of working for a nonprofit, all begins with a love story.
Oh,
there is no way.
That's excellent.
Yeah. You can't get somebody to donate to something that isn't meaningful to them, that they're not passionate about.
100%.
So where marketing comes in on that is we're the storytellers. We're the ones who help craft that love story. We're the ones who are getting that person in the building for the first time, to see their first show, to see their first movie, to stand on that stage for the first time, and start to fall in love. And then if we do our job correctly and we make those smart programming choices and we get them back day after day, year after year, that love story grows. That dating relationship continues to blossom until the
So
point
good.
when our development team is ready to pop the question. The answer is, well, yes, of course I'll write you a check.
I love that analogy in so many ways. That is perfect. It is a commitment, but not one you should be afraid of.
Exactly. And one we take very seriously.
I love that so much. That is fantastic. So I mentioned that we both came from Busch Gardens once upon a time, but before that, you were in journalism.
I was. My degrees are in journalism and theater. And finally, when I got to Tampa Theater, I think my parents finally oh, okay, so that's what you do with degrees in journalism and theater. But my first job out of college was with the Tampa Tribune, dearly departed, as a writer covering arts events, covering community events. But as I just mentioned, it all goes back to a good story. So my whole career through all of the different titles and all of the different organizations has always been about telling the stories of the community, whether it was in the newspaper through interviews, whether it was at Busch Gardens and capturing the history and the tradition that was happening there, or making up stories of what bird this newest roller coaster was patterned after. It's all story crafting. Some of it fiction, some of it nonfiction. But capturing and retelling those stories. And I've always joked that I have spent an entire career working hard to make sure other people have fun.
Oh, I love that.
And that really is it.
So many good nuggets, Jill. Excellent.
But, I would wither and die if I spent all my time behind a desk. And, so instead I've chosen daily media and theme parks and movie palaces and not a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 among them.
No, not at all.
But again, getting to make sure that people are having fun and that they're really enjoying all of the experiences that this amazing town has to offer.
That's amazing. So when you transitioned, so we talked about journalism to publicity to marketing. Was there any major learning curve there?
Oh, gosh. So journalism to publicity was, I'm not going to say easy, but it's two sides of the same coin.
Family.
Yes,
yeah.
It is. You're either you're writing the story for the newspaper or you're writing the press release just like you would have written the story.
That's right.
Because the great journalists out there, and most of them are going to take that information and, put their own spin on it. But think about it. In my PR days at Busch Gardens, that was the rise of the blogger, the rise of the citizen journalist. And all of a sudden, everybody and their brother was putting content online. And we as a community, as an industry, we're still trying to figure out exactly how that worked. But part of what we were seeing in all of that was a lot of cut and paste, that they would get that press release, cut and paste the entire thing and put it out there. So that's where my style of press release came from, is that if that's what you're going to do is cut and paste it, it's going to sound like a news story when you do. And makes my job all the much easier. Sure, just cut and paste it. The transition from publicity to marketing was a whole different lift in a whole different way, because as you well know, there are so many more facets to marketing than just publicity. And I had training in none of it. I had training in journalism. I had training in telling a good story. And of course, through the years and being project manager for Howl-O-Scream and some of those experiences, I had learned to work with a marketing budget and what a marketing plan looked like. And what a marketing plan looked like.
My favorite.
Yes.
I love language.
Oh, thank goodness it's somebody's, because it was not mine. But I was also very fortunate to walk into an organization that was, and I mean this not as a slight, was small and was simple.
Right.
We weren't talking about a multi-billion-dollar corporation that was trying to reach markets around the world. We were talking about a beloved community institution that was trying to talk to their neighbors and friends.
Right.
And so that allowed me to kind of ease in, and I was coming on the heels of a marketing director who had been there for 20-something years, who was beloved in the community, but who also didn't have a lot of marketing background, and was also taking a very grassroots approach to everything. So it was a very easy transition in that way that I could say, okay, I see what she's doing. I can definitely do that. And now I can learn.
Right.
And so as the organization grew, I was able to learn kind of along with them, meet other great marketers in the community that were doing the same kind of thing for similar organizations, learn from what they were doing. And then, of course, when all else fails, hire brilliant people as contractors.
Flagged.
Brilliant people like Rumblebuzz to manage your social media and to help you with ad planning and all of the things that aren't native to me.
Right.
But there are others that it is. And rather than reinventing the wheel, we can just partner.
I love that. And that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
That's great. So this has been so much fun. We're going to start to wrap things up now.
Okay.
And we're going to move on to our lightning round. Are you ready for this?
I don't know.
I feel like we should have a little Taylor Swift background. All right. So let's talk about what you're currently buzzing about. What are you currently watching?
Well, given the time of year, we are watching Hallmark Channel.
Oh my gosh.
So like mid-November every year, and it's not even me, it's my husband. He downloads the Hallmark Channel and then we cancel after the holidays. He wears his emotions very close to the chest, close to the vest. But every year we download the Hallmark Channel, and that's what we have on like 24/7.
Oh my gosh.
From right after Halloween through Christmas, and then the rest of the year we go back to murder, forensic files, and true crime.
Because
and stuff
that's
like that.
not a juxtaposition.
Although,
That's
I
great.
thought the same thing. I was like, man, we must be the weirdest people ever that all we watch is murder and Christmas movies. There are shirts out there that talk about murder and Christmas movies.
Of
And I'm like,
course
okay, it's not just
It's a
us.
thing.
Somehow there's thesis money in there somewhere.
I bet there
Whoever
is.
wants to do that
Actually,
research.
it sounds like my mom too. So, all right. And what are you reading?
I am reading Cuban Sandwich, A History in Layers.
What?
Which just came out in this past year. It's actually written by a couple of friends of mine, including Jeff Hauk, who was the former food critic for the Tribune and now works for the Columbia Restaurant Group.
Absolutely.
And Andy Hughes, who is a local author who has written a bunch of different books and is currently writing the 100th anniversary book for Tampa Theater.
Oh.
So, of course, I wanted to read some more of his writing, and I've got it in my bag now, and it truly is the history of the Cuban sandwich and all of the different influences and layers.
fun.
The book was just featured in the New York Times not too long ago, so it's a great book.
Oh my gosh,
Great
I
read.
love that. That is great. All right, what's your favorite lunch spot? Speaking of Cuban sandwiches.
Oh, well, okay. So immediately adjacent to our box office is Siam Thai. And immediately adjacent to our stage door is Supernatural. So I don't actually have to leave the block ever.
That's excellent.
Had a
They
breakfast
do.
sandwich this morning.
We talked about their donuts this morning. All right, what's the next show on your radar?
So last Christmas, my sister and I bought our mom tickets for Leanne Morgan, who's coming up, a comedian who kind of came to comedy later in life.
Okay.
Does a lot of mom humor, so we thought it'd be a great show.
Fun.
Well, the show got postponed because Leanne landed a role at a movie. So now the show got moved and sold out, and then we added a second screening or a second show, and it sold out, and then that one. So now there's 4 shows, and they're all sold out. But we still have our tickets from Christmas of 2022, so we're going to be seeing that in January.
Amazing. How fun. Oh, I love that you're going with your mom, too. All right. And so next, what brands are you currently watching?
So when you sent me that question, I thought, man, they think I am far more hip than I am because I really had to. I'm not on TikTok at all. And I seriously had to think about, geez, what brands am I following? So I let my Facebook algorithm tell me what brands I'm following.
That's great.
And it did, because looking for inspiration, I'm scrolling through and the pop-up ad, I was like, oh, that is a brand I follow. It's called Two Blind Brothers.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that?
I am not.
Okay, so it's a clothing company, clothing and accessories.
All right.
And the 2 owners are literally 2 blind brothers. It's
No
2
way.
brothers who suffered from an eye condition that robbed them of their sight.
Wow.
And so now they create clothes that are, comfortable and mushy and soft and cute, but also have raised braille in them so that blind wearers can tell what color it is and put outfits together based on it.
Amazing.
But the coolest part,
how did that end up in your algorithm?
I'll tell you. So the other thing they do is they encourage people to shop blind. So you can look at their website and you can pick a level and they will just send you the package. You have no idea what it's going to be. It's always something different. But 100% of the proceeds go to benefit research to curing blindness.
That's incredible.
And I think they're doing it. But to answer your question, the reason it shows up in my feed, I mean, honestly, my eyes aren't great, but I'm not quite there yet. But my goddaughter is blind. And that's how I first was
that's incredible.
introduced to their brand.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. And now I'm going to go follow them.
Well, and, bottom line is,
Exactly.
as you know, how in the world do you break through in this world of cluttered marketing messages, especially around the holidays? And the fact that they did, this little company in a different part of the country
Magic.
broke through and got to my feed, my hat's off.
That's amazing. I love it. And now we're all going to be following them too.
So we're all going to shop blind. We're all going to order
Yay,
something and
that's
see what we get.
fantastic. We're going to figure it out, right? All right. Well, this has been awesome. We loved getting buzzed
This
with
was
you.
fun.
I'm like a little afraid of
Yes.
what's.
No, it's water, I promise.
All right. And until next time, this is Behind the Buzz.